This is Understanding Decimals. Go ahead and write that title down in your notebook. We're going to start out with talking about comparing decimals. So in your math notebook, go ahead and write that right underneath where you wrote Understanding Decimals. Remember, we learned about comparing whole numbers last week, so now we're going to move on and talk about how to do that with decimals. Let's start out by reviewing our whole number place value names. So go ahead and say them with me. We start out with ones, and then we have tens, hundreds, thousands. Okay, you guys got it. So what I want to do next is move forward and kind of review for a second about our decimal point. Remember that starting from the ones and moving and getting larger, we have ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. When we add the decimal point, we're just going to be kind of flipping that the other direction. We have our decimal. How do we say the decimal? It's not point. It's not decimal. We read it as and. So we're going to go ahead and start with our first place value name, which is tenths. There is no oneths because that's kind of a hard word to say, and I don't think it's a real word. So tenths. Remember that the difference between the tens and the one, or the tens and the tenths, is that th ending. Then comes hundredths. If you take a look, it's the same base word as this hundreds. The only difference is it has that th. And then we move on to thousands, thousandths. Okay. So let's talk about comparing decimals. When we compare whole numbers, remember we're seeing which one is larger. We use three symbols. The first one is a symbol that means the same as. Can you guess it? It is equal to. And then we talk about how to show that a number is greater than another number. And we represent that with that Pac-Man mouth. Greater than. And then lastly we have less than. So work this example out with me. We're going to start with the largest place value number. So look at these numbers, 423 and a decimal, and then 408 and a decimal. So I'm going to start with the largest. Which place value name is the largest? If you are thinking or you said hundreds, then you would be right. The hundreds, right there. So I'm going to take a look at the hundreds on both numbers. I see we have a 4 and a 4, which is bigger. They're the same. So we move on to the next smallest, which would be the tens column. In this example, I have a 2. And the next one I have a 0, so I can tell automatically which one is larger. And it is the 2. So I'm going to put my symbol in that shows that 423 and 1/100th is greater than 408 and 1/100th. Let's do another one together. Okay, so I have 74 and 428 thousandths. And 74 and 496 thousandths. So we're going to start with the 7 and the 7, which is larger. They're the same. So we move on to the next one. 4 in the ones place and 4 in the ones place. They're the same. So I have my decimal point. I'm going to move past that. Then we have 4 in the tenths place on both sides. So they're still the same. They're still equal. Now is here where it gets different. We have a 2 in the hundredths place and a 9 in the hundredths place. Which number is larger? If you guessed this number, you would be correct. There you go. And we'll do this last one together. 3,491 and 6/10 versus 3,491 and 497 thousandths. Don't be fooled by this one. It looks tricky, but it's not. So I'm looking at my 3 and my 3, they're the same. Then I start with the next largest place value, 4 and 4, they're the same. Then I have 9 and 9, and they're the same. 1 and 1, still the same number. So we move on to the decimal place value. 6 and 4, which is the bigger number. If you think it's the 6, then you are right. 6 is larger than 4. Even though it has these other numbers here, this number is still bigger. So we have greater than. Okay, I'm going to let you try this one on your own. Make sure you do all of your work and then check your answers. So go ahead and write these numbers in your math notebook. And I want you to do the arrows if you need to and write greater than, less than, or equal to. And our last one, 626 and 1,000th and 626 and 500ths. So use that step-by-step guide, write those numbers down in your notebook, and use the greater than, less than, or equal to sign to compare the two decimals. If you're not finished yet, pause the video because I'm going to give you the answers now. Problem check number 1 is greater than. Problem check number 2 is less than. How'd you do? Did you get them both right? All right, hopefully you did. If not, then go back and re-watch the video so that you get it. Okay, thanks.